Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Paul and today we're taking a look at the Boruit EV15. First of all, thank you to Boruit for sending this along for review. Whilst they did provide the light, they did not provide any financial compensation, nor did they have any early access to the video or any input into my thoughts. This is all just my genuine thoughts and feelings about spending a few weeks with this light. That said, obviously when there's a disconnect between financial investment into something and your use, there's going to be a little bit of a disconnect there, but I'm going to do my best to make sure, as always, that I take that into consideration. First of all, let's jump into a size comparison with Channel Staples, a 58mm Simon knife, and the glare is real, and a 91mm Simon knife. Some flashlight relevant comparisons in a AAA and AA battery. And there's your girth comparison. And let's compare it to some of its brethren in the Boruit family. Starting off with the V20 and the V15. You can see this is more similar to the V15 in overall size, but not quite as chunky. And the V30 and the U6. And the goal of this is just generally, if you're familiar with one of their other models, hopefully it'll give you some idea on the dimensions. And finally, along with the other members of the EV family, here we have the EV10 and the EV15. Now the 20 is basically just a scaled up version of the 10. The 15 really does its own thing. You can see it is slightly longer, and then thickness is generally the same. Now let's go ahead and jump into a design overview. So up front we have three emitters. We have two tier style white optics, and then this middle one is actually a UV emitter. On the side we have an RGB panel, which also does have white tint to it. On the body we have some diamond decoration. I wouldn't say this is particularly grip, they're actually incredibly smooth, so this is mostly just a visual thing. Our UI is based on two rubberized buttons with backlighting to show charge level. And on the back we have a clip. The clip is one position, but it is orientated such that if you were to mount it on a hat, the emitters are pointing the correct direction. Some kind of indentation on the sides that does make it a little easier to grip, not massively, but it is something. And on the bottom we have a flat base for tail stands. The tail is also magnetic and houses our USB-C plug underneath a rubber boot. I'll just go ahead and jump into the UI and brightness levels for the Boruit EV20. As always, feel free to pause if you'd rather read through on your own. Now the main lights have a medium mode of 180 that will drop down to 120 for a total runtime of 4.8 hours, a high of 650 dropping down to 250 lumens for a total of 2.8 hours, and there's no drop down times here specifically, and 1100 lumens dropping down to 450 lumens for a total of 1.9 hours. Low mode is 13 lumens for 50 hours, strobe 2 hours at 990 lumens, and the UV light comes in at 365 nanometers for 8.3 hours. The side modes don't really have any listed runtime, but generally speaking the emitter is quite dim compared to the primary emitters, and you're going to get a very long runtime out of them. Now jumping into the UI. Next up, regarding the UI, of course, we do have these two buttons as is standard for Boruit. This left button is going to be everything up front, so pressing and holding is going to turn on the two main emitters, and we have this battery indicator that comes on. Pressing once will then cycle through. It will travel backwards, so high, medium, low, and then it will go through strobe, so strobe warning, before it comes back up on high. Turbo is a double press, and then to get back into this UV on the front, that is a triple press. And as always with Boruit after the version 15, apparently, you are going to want to be a little careful with those button presses just to get the timing right, otherwise you will be fiddling around for quite a while. onto the side panel. This is going to be much simpler as we have less things to go through. However, we do have more modes, so the overall cycles you go through can be potentially a lot longer. So if we press and hold, it's going to come on. First we have the white mode. We'll turn some of these lights off so you can get an idea for the brightness of the side panel. As you can see, it is on the kind of a more neutral to warm end of things, especially compared to the front emitters. Now one more press will go down into the dimmer setting. And you might be able to see on the camera, I think we have some slight visible PWM. Now, once you are on in the side mode, to then get to the different modes, it's just a double click. And that will take us into our solid RGB first, where a single press will just rotate through the colors. And then a double press will go through the different modes. So you can see what I mean about the whole timing thing here. So just straight down, more of a teardrop effect, and then a solid beam. Now, I will say on the camera, this looks super quick. It's actually much more of a gradual progression to the eye. And then finally back to white. Now let's go ahead and jump into the pros of the Boruit EV20. First of all, the features that you get in this do feel quite premium, specifically reminiscent of something else we have reviewed on the channel in the recent past, such as when you plug this in, you get a charging indicator that will go up red and then turn solid green. That's something that certainly a lot of people in the comments and me myself have wanted on basically any light that offers a RGB side panel. It just makes sense to use it for that additional function, and it's cool. You do get quite a lot of versatility here between the side panel, the front emitters, and the UV. And the front emitters do a decent job of giving a floody EDC usable beam. There will be beam shots up here. And of course we do have a clip with a nice amount of ramp that does work quite well on a hat. And stylishly, I think this is overall a pretty nice looking light. Now let's go ahead and go into the cons and just general thoughts of things that could be a little bit better here. First of all, this is still an issue. So this rubber boot sits flush, and you have this recessed USB-C port, and we have covered this on the EV10. We covered it on the V20. I think it might have also been an issue on the V30. Boruit does this a lot, where you'll get this recessed port that will not fit a large amount of cables. It comes with a cable in the box that fits, and it also comes with a little lanyard too. But that is an unnecessary issue. Just mill this out more to the side. There's no reason for this to be so restrictive. It's just inconvenient and a silly issue to have. Next up, the UI. I don't know why this has become an issue in recent Boruit lights, as the UI was never particularly an issue before. Stepping backwards from high to low is weird. It's not as convenient. It can lead you to accidentally blinding yourself or other people. It's just not as good, but that's a minor thing compared to including strobe in the cycle pattern. That's obnoxious, and that's something that you find in extremely cheap, no name, no brand Chinese lights. It is very disappointing to see that in a Boruit design, because overall, whilst Boruit provides value lighting, they have overall been a solid choice, and that degradation of the UI has been a serious issue with this line of lights. Now, I'll say that UI-wise, it's not as bad as the EV10, which would step through two different emitters. Because this only has the one set of white emitters and the UV is behind a triple click, it's not as obnoxious, but having strobe is still going to be an issue. But if you're going to choose between these two, the UI is less of a pain for this. As moving on to the side panel, I wish that there was one more brightness level for the white light, and I overall wish this panel would be a bit bigger, at the very least longer, and the LED could be of higher quality. It's not the greatest. This is a budget light, but that said, it could also be a bit better. Overall, this is a pretty reasonable light. It's because it only has the one type of emitter up front, I do think it is more compelling than the EV10. I don't think it has that big of an issue. I actually prefer the overall look of the EV10 a little bit more. I think it looks a little bit cleaner. But obviously this is bigger, better brightnesses. Overall, a more usable light. And for the price, you're looking at anywhere between £15 and £27 for the amount of features you get. That's actually a fairly reasonable price. Boruit's always been very solid on price. And if the UI issue isn't an issue for you, and if you have access to a lot of particularly skinny USB-C ports or cables, or you just don't really care about that, then this could be a good option for you. It's, again, I can recommend it more than the EV10, which is sticking to my batteries, but there's still quite a lot of hang-ups here. And one thing that I would like to see besides the UI being fixed and some general improvements is, I think that the EV series is going to be compelling in a larger form factor. I'm looking forward to seeing an EV30 where we have a bigger body to accommodate that bigger side panel, and just generally seeing some more features that could take it a little bit closer to the thing that it's trying to, give an homage to, shall we say. But that's overall my thought. What do you think of the EV20? Is the UI an issue for you? Do you care about the recessed USB-C port issue? Let me know in the comment section down below. And whilst you're down there, I'd appreciate a like and subscribe. It does help the channel. And if you would like to support the channel more directly, get more gear in front of the camera, improve the audio quality, which some people have been complaining about, then please consider a Patreon or coffee donation where you do get some additional benefits, and it does help support the channel grow. But until next time, I've been Paul, this has been the EV20, and I will see you in the next video.